Hi guys, good morning. Welcome. Today I would like to speak with you about creating your own reality from a conscious level and doing so through alchemy, through transmutation of your own emotions and of your own thoughts and your words. So in order to do this, we need to have an understanding of the fact that there's a universal law under which we operate called the law of polarity. Now, the law of polarity is, in simple terms, explains that we live in a dual world where there is two sides of, or two extremes of the same. So, in other words, love and hate are two polar opposites of the same energy, but it has different vibrations. So if we look at it from a vertical perspective, imagine love being a higher frequency of the same energy and hate being the lower frequency of the same energy, okay? And through through transmutation of the frequency, transmutation is changing something from one state into another. We can literally transmute hate into love. We can transmute every negative, low vibrational emotion into a positive, higher frequency emotion. Now, this is easier said than done. That's why I wanted to do a video to simplify and demystify all these teachings that truly have been available to humanity for centuries. And at the same time, we have ignored it, or some of us have been interested in it and looked into it and actually implemented them, and realize that it is something that we can utilize truly to create our own reality and make what, like that saying that says that when life gives you lemon, make lemonade, because it is through the perception from which you see your experience that determines how successful you will be in overcoming it or in dwelling within it for a longer period of time, making your life more miserable. So with transmutation, I find it to be an easy concept, although it's not explained in an easy way. So I take it upon myself to translate this ancient wisdom into simplified terms that the simple human can understand it through a video on YouTube, basically. Why? Because life can be complex. Life can be difficult to grasp the reason why things happen to us, or we tend to feel that life is happening to us. Things are happening to us and we feel the victim of life. And at times we can feel like life is crushing us, like there is an external enemy of some sort attacking us, making us suffer. All right? And that is not the truth. That is just a perception, because it feels like, how can I ever create such negative experience for myself if indeed I truly create my own reality? How can I have called upon my life such hardship? And so under that premise, we don't believe that what happens to us has everything to do with us, okay? And therefore, we never take accountability, and we never take ownership of our own energy and projections, and things just continue happening to us. So to simplify this, and I may do other videos going into it much deeper, because this is a topic that I can talk for hours on, and I know that there are different angles in which we can tackle this. and decoded so that it can be easier to understand. But in this video is going to be kind of like an overview of how this actually works. Okay, so based on a universal law, the universal law of polarity, we understand that everything has two poles. Every energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transmuted. It can only be shifted from one frequency to another, okay? So basically think of the field, the ethers, as energy that is available to us that we choose to give it an intent, a direction. We choose to infuse it with a vibration as we think, because our thoughts are energy in motion. Our emotions are energy in motions. And our projections to others, to the external world, even to our internal world, to projections to ourselves, have a vibration. So what we're doing is we are utilizing the available energy, and as we create a positive thought, we are directing that energy with a positive charge. If we continue having negative thoughts in our mind, what we're doing is we are activating this energy that's available to us in the ethers for creation purposes, and we're giving it with our free will, with our intent, a low charge, a low frequency by choosing to think negative things, okay? So we, with our free will, have the ability to control that. We have the ability to choose which thoughts we're going to think, which thoughts we're going to nurture, which thoughts we're going to give our attention to, and which thoughts we want to project, because our thoughts eventually become our emotions, and our emotions eventually become the way we project ourselves into the world. So as we consciously create our own reality, if you want to create harmony in your life, if you want to create peace in your life, if you want to create love in your life, meaning you want to vibrate within those energies and frequencies, then you must create such things for yourselves, okay? With your thoughts and with your emotions and with your projections. And it has nothing to do with your external world. What your external world is going to be doing, very likely, is providing you with challenges, with situations, with people that are going to do something within you. They're going to trigger you, very likely. And they're going to trigger you, and you're going to potentially feel like, well, I want to create a positive life, and then I have all these people and situations happen to me that are negative. It's very difficult to create this positive life, right? Well, the first thing we tend to do is go and hide within our comfort zone and say, oh, I don't want to deal with these people. I don't want to deal with such circumstances, because such things make me feel as if I am not able to maintain this peace and maintain this love and maintain my own level of harmony. Okay, so we separate the people and circumstances that make us feel triggered to stay within ourselves in our comfort zones. But what happens is that these people and circumstances are literally there and showing up to your experience to show you directly exactly what it is that you need to work within you, because you would not have magnetized them into your reality unless you are a vibrational match to them at some degree. So these people that are showing up and taking away your peace, if you blame them, okay, for doing this, then you never take responsibility for what is within you that actually attracted them. Okay? So based on law of polarity, we understand that we can utilize this with our own emotions, because our emotions, like I said earlier, is energy in motion. Okay, so think of our emotions. There's a spectrum of emotions, of human emotions that we feel. Okay, this spectrum has positive emotions, neutral emotions, and low frequency emotions. Now, as we are experiencing these emotions, what we want to do is we don't want to avoid them. We don't want to repress them. We don't want to not acknowledge them. We really need to look at all of our emotions. We are here to experience our full spectrum of emotions, negative and positives. And no, we're not meant to dwell in anxiety, and we're not meant to dwell in depression. We're not meant to dwell in powerlessness or anger. We're not meant to dwell there, okay? We are meant to experience them, learn from them, to see why it is that it's being triggered within our inner being, find where that wound is, heal it, and transmute it into the light. Bring it up to heaven. Bring it up to clarity. Bring it up to what it is that to love, which is exactly the answer to everything, pretty much. And as we transmute everything that triggers us, as we transmute everything that is keeping us hostage, all of our fears, as we bring them up to light, acknowledging them, understanding them, identifying where they were first created, we are able to bring them up to light and eventually release them. And then that is going to be like a weight off our shoulders, because we are no longer going to be carrying these negative emotions with us, okay? So, all right, so let's say that you are experiencing fear, some sort of fear of abandonment, okay? Because when you were a child, perhaps, one of your parents abandoned you, or both of your parents abandoned you, and you felt like you had to face life without them, without their comfort, without their support, okay? Throughout life, you will tend to cling onto people, and you're going to do everything possible in your power to keep them in your life, okay? This is just a particular example. There's many examples out there that we can be talking about, and this may not be necessarily your case, but as I explain it, you may identify with it to some degree, or know that other people around you have experienced such circumstance, and you can see my point, because I'm only giving this example to bring a point across, okay? So let's just say that this individual as a child was abandoned by their parents. It is very likely that through life, they're going to experience within their relationships this need to hold on to people, okay? And what's going to happen, very likely, is that they're going to continue to be abandoned. Like, their relationships are going to break up with them. Their friendships, their friends may stab them in the back and move on. Their family members would not be supportive or not facing them. And then they're going to feel this abandonment wound really, really embedded within themselves. And more likely than not, they're going to feel like the victim. Oh, this is happening to me because nobody loves me, because nobody wants me, because nobody needs me. And so this goes into a much deeper wound, which is going to be related to your self-love. Okay? And so as we look at this picture, this is just a simple example that is very likely to happen to anyone. It literally happened to me. And so as I express this information throughout life, I developed, instead of the clinginess to other people, I developed what I would like to call like a hard shell, where I said, okay, you're going to abandon me. That's fine. I'm good enough on my own. All right. So that was my alternative. This is, I'm kind of like bringing in my own example with different scenarios of the two things that can happen. Other things can happen as well. So as I experienced my father abandoning me at 2 years old, I felt that in my essence, not that I was aware of it, but I felt it in my vibration. And I always throughout my life questioned why he left. He never gave me a straightforward answer. And with years later, we were able to sit down and reestablish this relationship. But that was many years after. But the point of the matter is that when I knew, there was a point in my life where I acknowledged there was an abandonment wound, when I realized that all these relationships were abandoning. There was an abandonment footprint on them. And my response to that was, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? And so I started gaining this empowerment from within, because I realized that, I didn't want to be dependable or clinging onto relationships that didn't want to be with me. And at some point I realized that the reason why that happens is for two main reasons. The number one reason is for me to realize and acknowledge that I had a wound inside that I had to heal, the abandonment wound. And the second reason that this would happen constantly in my life, whether it's through friends or relationships of different sorts, is because I needed to understand I had built a shell of protection, which did not allow me to open up thoroughly to a relationship and present myself as this, as a person that nobody was going to get through me, because nobody was able to get through me, because I was so, putting up a front about it, as I did not want to be vulnerable, as I did not want to get hurt again. So my comfort zone, if you will, was my own protection of, I got this. I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to embody, my own internal power. But even though that's good in a sense, but it didn't allow me to open up. It didn't allow me to allow relationships within my heart fully, because I was afraid of getting hurt again. So long story short, the point of the matter is, and the reason I'm bringing this up into this video, is so that we can identify the following. Feeling abandoned, okay, is interconnected with lack of self-love, because you perceive that the reason for such abandonment was because of you, was because nobody wanted you, because nobody loved you. And so that develops within your soul a sense of worthlessness. You don't feel worthy. Okay? So this, as you carry it along in life, is projected through your subconscious mind, is projected to the people you actually love, is projected onto the world. And until we sit with it, until we analyze this wound, until we heal this wound and transmute it into light, into love, we are not able to manifest a reality in which we actually find a partner that does not abandon you. So this is, it's such an interesting way of how this all truly works. Because the first thing we must have very clear is we must be honest with ourselves. We must be real. We must allow ourselves to acknowledge our pains. We must be able to acknowledge our wounds. We must be able to see our darkness so that we can actually transmute it into light. So the way we do this, okay, once you see yourself, once you feel your anger, once you feel your sadness, once you feel your depression, your abandonment wounds, your worthlessness, once you feel all of these things, the reason why it's important for us to transmute it into light is because if we continue giving our attention and feeding these low vibrational frequencies of abandonment, sadness, anger, we feed them with our attention, we feed them with believing in them, more of that is going to be projected into our lives. And then our reality never really changes. We always experience the same things with different people, but we experience the same cycles. And we don't want to experience the same cycles. We want to experience a hardship, if we will, but then overcome the hardship so we no longer experience that again. Because life it's not linear. Life is not what happened once would never happen again. Life continues in cycles. And you're going to repeat the cycles of that which you have not been able to overcome. Okay? So it is not until you sit with it, it is not until you acknowledge that truth that you are able to work with it and eventually overcome it and ideally not have to go through it again. But if you do go through it again to another degree, it means there's still residue, okay? It means that there's still some areas that must be healed within the same topic, within the same field. All right, so how do we do this based on the law of polarity? So as we understand the law of polarity, it has two different poles. Everything does. And so when we look at an emotion, okay, looking at love and hate, okay, which is a very simple polarity to discuss, we can always identify with such. Let's say we feel hate. Okay, so how do we transmute hate into love? We're gonna do this transmutation with our mind, because everything is mind, okay? With our mind, with our intentions, which is in our hearts, with the words that we speak, with our belief systems, and with the actions that we take, okay? So mind, intentions, words, and actions that we take, and our belief systems are very important as well, okay? So we need to identify this. We need to identify, okay, I am feeling angry at this moment, okay? One must come to that realization. Okay, I am feeling angry, and I am feeling, but instead of saying I am feeling angry because such person did something to me, I'm going to say, okay, this person did something to me. It's a shift of perception. This person did something to me, which triggered within me anger. Okay? Now, you are the only person responsible for your own emotions. Okay? So this person that triggered you, don't blame them for triggering you. Don't blame them for being the problem that you're having. The problem is within, and they are doing you a favor. They're doing you the favor of showing you what it is that you need to work on inside of you. Because otherwise you'll continue projecting these things that have not been brought to your awareness. And you're projecting everything that is within your subconscious mind, creating a reality you don't want. So you got to see these things. You got to see, that's why people bring it up. They bring up the anger within us. They bring up the dissatisfaction within us. They bring up the hate within us. They bring up the jealousy within us. They bring this up. So thank you. Be grateful, because gratitude is going to assist you. Gratitude is one of the highest frequencies. And so gratitude is part of this whole process as well, as you, instead of becoming the victim of someone who hurt you, just say, thank you for showing me that I have a wound to heal. Thank you for showing me that I have a trigger within me that I have not become aware of, that I wasn't aware of, and that because it was within my vibrational field, I was projecting that into the world unconsciously, creating things into my life, into my existence that I don't want. So I gotta heal that so that I can begin to purify, if you will, purify my thoughts, purify my emotions, purify my actions, and eventually start creating a reality that I do desire. It's all a process, my loved. It's a process. It's a beautiful process. And it's a beautiful process contingent upon the perception with which you see it. If you see it from a victim's mentality, it's not a beautiful process. If you see it from a victim's mentality, you're going to try to avoid everything. You're going to try to repress all these negative emotions and blame other people. But it's not time for that. It's time to really take ownership of who we are and clean ourselves from everything that does not serve us so that we can experience life in the most beautiful way possible, bringing heaven to earth, bringing peace into our souls, bringing peace into our minds, into our experience, harmony, so that we can clear our relationships with others. We must become aware of who we are, of what it is within us that is not helping us. Okay? So as we acknowledge that within us there is a particular trigger, that is the first step, acknowledgement. Acknowledging, okay, this person made me feel like this. It's not their fault. They're just assisting me, okay? Their higher self. We have a higher self that is fully aware of all that is happening. Life is happening for us, not to us. Everything is here to help us. We are all taking each other home, our hearts. We're all taking each other home into our hearts, into our souls, okay? But we must acknowledge what is not working. We must acknowledge what the karma that we have accumulated throughout lifetimes and throughout this particular lifetime as well. It needs to be brought up, okay? So that we can look at it, so that we can acknowledge it, so that we can love ourselves in the process, okay? Because at the end of everything, all the hardships that we experience are meant to break us. Yes, they're meant to break all of our programs and break all of the walls that we have built against life. Our ego has built that as a method of protecting ourselves. And that has worked for many years, but it no longer works now because we are ascending into a higher consciousness. And we must clear our karma. We must clean ourselves from everything that does not serve us. Okay? So these low frequency emotions, we decided to come into earth to experience them. We decided to literally come to earth to live in this in this polarized experience. Okay? But we're not meant to be there. We're not meant to stay in depression or anger or jealousy or hate or envy. That's not where we belong. That's why these emotions don't feel good. That is our soul telling us that's not where you belong. We belong in happiness, in joy, in kindness, in compassion. Okay? So we cannot wait until the world changes. We need to take part of it and take ownership of who we are. Acknowledge our own wounds, acknowledge our own darkness. That is okay. Don't be afraid of your own darkness. Love your darkness. Sit with your darkness. Look at it. Darkness is like when you imagine going into like a dark room and just shifting up your light. Where did darkness go? Darkness is the absence of light. So when you bring light into your darkness by bringing awareness to it, then you're able to clear it, you're able to heal it, you're able to transcend it and transmute it. Okay? So, to wrap it up, the way you transmute it is by choosing, with your free will and with your intention. These are your main two tools. your free will is going to say, okay, I want a better life. I'm choosing a better life. That's why I'm going to be the steward of my thoughts. I'm going to be the steward of my emotions. I'm going to be the steward of my actions and my projections onto others. Because that which I create, then it's reflected in the outer world. Okay? So you're going to use your will by choosing the kinds of thoughts you're going to think. You're going to use your will by choosing the kinds of emotions you're going to feel. So for example, if somebody hurts you and triggers you, that is telling you that you have something within, okay? But the question you should ask yourself is, and your free will answer, how long am I willing to stay within this anger? Because the longer you stay with that anger, you're projecting this anger into the world. You're projecting this anger into the universe, meaning you're creating more of that. Let that sink in. So this is the reason why you want to transcend it as quick as possible. There's no rush, but you can sit with your anger for a year, sure. But the longer you sit with it, without healing it, you're going to continue projecting things that are going to trigger that anger, okay? Just be aware of that. Because that's law of attraction. That's how it works. But with the law of polarity, utilizing alchemy, utilizing the transmutation, how do you bring how do you go from hate to love? Well, you can't go from here to here immediately unless you've mastered the art, but not at the beginning. It's going to be too hard. You're like, I feel the hate right now. You're there. You're in that state. Well, the way you do it is little by little, and the pace with which you do this is very individual. It's going to be your own. You're not competing with me. You're not competing with others. You're not competing with anyone. It is you against you, and you towards you. So the pace with which you choose to heal yourself is all on you. You want to take a whole week in anger because you really want to feel that anger, and not until you really feel it can you just push it forward and transcend it. That's up to you. That's why we have free will. If you ask me, I like to transcend, transmute, to move forward, to learn as much as I can. I like not to waste time with my ascension. I don't like to dwell in things I don't belong in. I personally love myself so much. I like to experience life in its best experience. I like to experience bliss. I love experiencing love. And I know that there are triggers I'm still clearing for myself, for my family, and for the whole collective. I'm transmuting things because this is what I'm meant to do. This is part of my calling. This is part of my life purpose, okay? And so it has become easy to me, and that's why I'm bringing it to you, because it is available. This is wisdom that has been available to all of us forever. We just need to bring our awareness into the present moment so that we can work on it. So when I feel triggered, the first thing I do is ask myself, how long do I want to be in this vibration? Because I already know that the longer I stay, the more of it I create. So my answer is always, well, as soon as possible. Okay, well, I feel myself and I say, okay, I'm going to feel it. I'm going to choose to feel this pain right now. I'm going to choose to feel this pain so that I can realize how much I actually don't want it. Okay? So when I put myself into that moment and I say, okay, I don't want it anymore. Okay, now I'm ready to transmute it. I don't want it anymore. I don't belong in this vibration. I want to experience peace. I want to experience a better experience. So I'm going to elevate my frequency by the thoughts that I'm going to choose to think. I'm going to elevate my frequency by the activities I'm going to engage in. So instead of like engaging in activities like addictions or engaging in activities that are going to make me forget about it, I'm going to love myself more. I'm going to nurture myself. I'm going to engage in activities that make me feel good. I'm going to engage in activities that bring relaxation into my present moment. Okay? So with the thoughts that I'm going to choose to think, with the activities that I'm going to be engaging in, I'm going to do also declarations. I'm going to do affirmations of the reality that I wish to create. Then eventually, as we practice this, it becomes second nature. And we begin to transmute all these low vibrational emotions within ourselves into higher emotions. But we must get the blame off the people or the circumstances. Don't blame them. Thank them. Okay? Don't judge things harshly. Don't judge others for doing things to you. They're assisting you. They're showing you what you have inside. You need to deal with that. Okay? So I hope this video was helpful. I'm very pleased to bring this to your awareness. And if you have any questions, please contact me and we can discuss further. I can have a conversation with you that brings clarity. I do clarity sessions for those of you who are in the midst of a chaotic moment and you have no clue how to get out of it. I am very pleased to have this clarity from the divine, which I have been able to access primarily because of all the clearing I have done within my own energy field. And so I'm able to get clarity from the divine, from my higher self. And I teach you how to do this for yourself as well, okay? So it has been my pleasure to share such wisdom with you. I hope this has been helpful. I know it has, but it can only be as helpful as you allow it to be within you, okay? But I do love you from the depth of my heart, and I wish you well. I bless you, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.